Just how concerned should you be about Carolina Panthers quarterback Bryce Young? All that and more in this episode of the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Here are your hosts, Marcus Mosher and Kate Madjuk.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. You can follow me on Twitter at Marcus_Mosher. Joining me today, as always, is Kate Madjuk. You can check her out on Twitter at Kate Madjuk. You can also follow her work at Pro Football Focus. Kate, we're gonna do some commotion at the end of the show, but we've got to talk about this awesome Panthers-Bears game on Thursday Night Football. You go ahead.
Must we?
Yes, we have to, because you and I yesterday talked about Bryce Young and where he stands among rookie quarterbacks. I said that there's a good chance that by tomorrow's show, I could be just eating my words, and I am. They're not great.
Tell me what you saw out of young quarterback. Now, we did have a rookie off. Let's not forget young Tyson Bagent, also a rookie. But, of course, we got to talk about the number one overall pick instead. Tell me what your biggest takeaways were from this Panthers-Bears showdown about the number one overall pick. Are you eating your words? And I want to hear in great detail why.
A couple things. So just off the very top, I don't think Bryce Young played well. He missed some easy throws that he shouldn't miss. He had guys open. He just needs to play better. It's really that simple. You're seeing a lot of things that you didn't see at Alabama, like him taking unnecessary sacks and him just missing guys wide open, not really using his legs at all. And that's concerning. I wonder if the poor play is now starting to affect how he's playing, and that's very discouraging. Go ahead.
Very, very interesting. And you know what, it's kind of weird because you also, I feel like you see him throw away balls just nonstop, which obviously every thrown away ball is a down that you're sacrificing. You're not making the play. I also think do you think there's any aspect of this that he doesn't want to get hit? Because that when I see him throwing a bunch of balls out of bounds and then he takes some unnecessary hits, it makes me wonder if he doesn't want to get hit. And
well, he's been hit a lot. So he has 29 sacks on the season. I also just think it's probably Frank Reich saying hey, don't take sacks. It kills our offense. Here's the thing that I saw in last night's game. There are so many times in this game where he's trying to throw the ball to the sideline on these really ridiculously long comeback throws to Adam Thielen, where he completed several of these, but they're for 4-yard gains. It's too hard of a throw for that little upside. And that's where I come back to, yes, he needs more receiver help. I just don't know this offense is doing him any favors. They're not getting guys on the move with the football. There's really no pre-snap motion at all. Defenses know exactly what to expect. I was disappointed in Bryce Young, but I was really just more disappointed in everybody in this offense. It just looks like a very, very boring and low upside offense.
Yeah, and when you're having a bunch of those targets to targeting the sideline, that limits any potential for yards after the catch, because basically you catch the ball, you have no room to run, you're knocked out of bounds. There is no room for you to generate yards after the catch, which might be the thing that pops off some upside for this offense. Obviously, Adam Thielen, he's 63, 64. You're not exactly expecting him to hit 20 miles per hour on any given play, but giving it's all about space, right? And creating some sort of upside and some sort of space. That's not to say that I think Bryce Young is not an NFL quarterback. Way too early to make that assessment, and way too premature, I think, given the offense we've seen installed and given the offensive weapons that they've surrounded him with. But it just doesn't look great. right now. And I think like we know, I think mentally Bryce Young was, I think, the best quarterback coming out. We knew that he had this innate feel for the quarterback position that I don't think any of these other quarterbacks had. But to this point, CJ Stroud's looking like he has it more than Bryce Young.
Without a doubt. I just want to see this offseason. Honestly, I don't think anything I see this year is really going to change my mind too much. But I want to see over the offseason, when they get some more weapons, when they have a chance to kind of refigure this offense, how does that help Bryce Young? Listen, I'm not that confident in this coaching staff. I don't think they did a very good job in Indianapolis helping the quarterbacks there. I have not seen a great offense here. It just relies on the quarterback to make too many precise throws like the ones we were mentioning. And even the downfield stuff, like guys are covered and they're kind of open, but they're not running wide open. And you see across the league, like what Kyle Shanahan's doing with the 49ers or what Mike McDaniel's doing with the Dolphins. Like, get Bryce Young some of these easy throws to at least get him in rhythm before you ask him to make, like to use the basketball term, the 29-foot fadeaway 3-point shot. They're asking him to do that far too often.
Yeah, I think that's actually a good, probably a solid way to put it. Like, there is no rhythm just in general in this entire offense, but getting a rookie in a rhythm, I think, is almost more important than a veteran in rhythm. Like, you establishing some sort of tempo in the offense, establishing confidence, like confidence is such an underrated point of the quarterback position. And like, to this point, Bryce Young doesn't have a lot of reasons to be all that confident, but
no, not at all.
I think better days are ahead, but boy, oh boy, it does not look good. And you're largely probably feeling pretty disappointed if you bought into Bryce Young and the idea that he was going to be able to overcome the circumstances of this offense right out of the gate.
It's pretty bleak in Carolina. Now, obviously, you're hoping that they're able to address their wide receiver needs this offseason. Maybe they get a little bit better at tight end. But one thing that would really help Bryce Young, Kate, is a running game. And you thought that the Panthers, when they paid Miles Sanders this offseason, maybe would have a better running game. That hasn't been the case. Let's talk about Miles Sanders and his dynasty value next. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. I'm actually wearing my PrizePicks shirt right now. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS because it's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, all you have to do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. PrizePicks is the most fun I've had playing DFS. You can win up to 25 times your money this football season. Again, all you have to do is select 2 or more players, pick more or less than on their projected stats, and watch the winnings roll in. I love how many different players that you can choose from, how many different stats you can choose from. I also like that PrizePicks offers a reboot policy that will reboot your entry if one of your players gets injured in the first half and does not return. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with injury insurance. It's absolutely fantastic. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. We also want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Jase Medical. I just learned that you can get a 1-year supply of ED medications through Jase Medical. Do you realize what this means? That means you can go on your extended trips. You don't have to worry about supply chain issues. You are covered, my friend. You don't have to worry about whether or not you can refill your generics for Cialis or Viagra. And this is all possible because of our great friends at Jase Medical. Go online right now at jasemedical.com to receive your 12-month supply on your daily medication. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for a discount as well. A recent verified customer had this to say about Jase. I am thankful for the service. Supply chain issues caused me to cut my pills in half just to have them. I ordered most of my daily meds with a year supply. I also ordered an antibiotic kit, and I feel secure now. Prices are lower than my local pharmacies. I highly recommend this for everyone. If you or someone you love would like to have that peace of mind by having a year's supply of any daily med, go to jasemedical.com to see if it's offered for you. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your purchase. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. Hey, Locked On continues to kick up our coverage this NFL season with Locked On NFL Kickoff Live. Each Friday, Locked On will go live at 2 p.m. Eastern on every Locked On NFL YouTube channel. Hosts Tanisha Batiste, Jarvis Davis, and Kyle Krabs will break down every game on the NFL slate to get you ready for your team's matchup, your fantasy lineups, your betting angles, and so much more. Plus, get the in-depth local analysis from our stable of NFL hosts across the country who know these teams better than anyone else. Find Locked On NFL Kickoff Live every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern on any Locked On NFL YouTube channel. Okay, let's talk about Miles Sanders. Last night, if you started him, which I don't know why you would, 2 carries for -5 yards. I don't want to say save you, but did have 2 catches for 15 yards in the passing game. Is Miles Sanders somebody who is just droppable now in your dynasty leagues?
No, he's not droppable. The running back position is far too fickle, Marcus, to ever drop a running back that at least is on some decent contract. Like we know that it hasn't worked out to this point, this offseason or this regular season here. Miles Sanders, he started off the season as this team's RB1. Slowly but surely, they've deviated to Chuba Hubbard, and we started to see that even before Miles Sanders got that injury. But I mean, you're right. To this point in the season, Chuba Hubbard is outplaying Miles Sanders in pretty much every metric: yards per carry, missed forced tackle rate, yards after contact per attempt. Stuff rate. It doesn't matter what advanced metric you're looking at. If you're
He just doesn't play.
But when he does, you don't get any sort of you don't often get that. Ooh, this is what I'm missing. But kind of.
Do you know how many carries he has in his last 4 games? Just guess.
I think 7, 8.
17 carries in his last 4 games.
Oh, I thought you said 2. I don't know.
No, so yeah, I'll go through them. 2 this week, 6 last week, 2 against the Texans, 7 against the Lions. He only has 5 catches during that same time. He just doesn't play. And I know what you're saying. Like, he's on a contract that makes you think eventually they're going to figure it out. But why isn't he playing?
Because I don't think he's playing as well as Chuba Hubbard. And that's not to say that Chuba Hubbard is playing overly well either. He's not been super efficient, averaging just 3.8 yards per carry, but he does look better than Miles Sanders in the opportunity. And there was a reason that Miles Sanders slowly started losing snaps to Chuba Hubbard. I don't think you give up yet, because Marcus, I think a big glaring problem with this team is, the offensive line, not fantastic, right? Third lowest PFF run blocking grade so far this season. It's not been a line that you can necessarily count on, averaging a league low 1.02 yards before contact allowed in the backfield. Like that really gives you absolutely zero time to generate any sort of momentum on a running play. So I think this offensive line is loading both of these running backs. I just think that I hesitate to give up on Miles Sanders, considering the contract, but also just considering some of the circumstances, because if this is going to be an offense that doesn't necessarily have superstars in the receiving game, why wouldn't you want to establish the run with both of these running backs, right? Like it would behoove you to establish the run. And I think there's plenty of room for both.
That's what I don't understand about this Carolina team. You've got a quarterback who's clearly struggling and lacking confidence. Why not try to figure out the run game? Like, they didn't even try last night. And what's frustrating, Kate, is Carolina was in this game the entire night. And for a big chunk of it, they were winning, right? And you had, if you take out a couple kneel downs, you had 14 carries for 40 yards in this game. Why not try to run the ball a little bit more?
I think again, I think this probably comes from a mistrust in the offensive line. Now, how much can you fix it at this time of the year? Sometimes we see these units come together and vibe a little bit in the second half of the season. So not ruling any of that out, but like that's sort of my biggest question mark. How much do they trust this offensive line? Because I think if you're only allowing 1 yard before there are opponents in your backfield, that doesn't allow a lot of time for any sort of run game to like. I don't know, Marcus. There's not enough run game for you to trust Miles Sanders in your lineup right now. But Chuba Hubbard, he's got, after this season, got 1 more year left on his contract. If they do want to give Miles Sanders a shot next year, trade Chuba Hubbard and give him an opportunity. He doesn't have a ton of carries on him, so that would give maybe another team, if they've liked what they've seen from Chuba Hubbard, give him a 2-year contract, afterward, stay with the team for a couple. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but
it's rough. Now, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire a little bit with Miles Sanders. Let's go through some players.
Just to be clear, I do not love Miles Sanders.
I know.
I'm
making it seem like you do.
I am not trading to acquire him. I am not, but I'm holding, and I think that's all we can really ask for.
All right. Well, let's do this. So, on the October ADP, Miles Sanders was RB29. Yeah, good luck with that one. I'm going to give you some running backs that were being drafted at least 10 spots behind him, and I want you to tell me who you'd rather have going forward. Tyler Algier, RB39.
I'll still take Miles Sanders.
Nick Chubb, RB41.
Nick Chubb.
Okay. Raheem Mostert, RB43.
I'll take Miles Sanders.
I would take Mostert. AJ Dillon, RB44.
AJ Dillon.
Yeah, same with me. Gus Edwards, RB51.
Way too close. Yeah.
Give me Gus Edwards because I can at least use him. Keaton Mitchell for the Ravens, RB62.
Keaton Mitchell.
Last one.
This might be insane. This might be way overreactionary, by the way.
It might be. Last one for you. I just because it's you. Zach Moss, RB50.
Zach Moss.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe you don't drop him, but he's gotten to a point now where like he's going to be drafted and being ranked like around RB60. And if depending on your league, if you're in a short bench dynasty league, like I tend to play in, I'm okay dropping him because I'm okay thinking he's going to sit on the waiver wire for a long time. Because why pick up somebody who's getting 2 touches a game for negative yardage? Like I don't see this changing anytime soon.
To be fair, I did think that the ADP was a little bit aggressive, just even coming into this. I don't know. This is hard, Marcus. This is a challenging circumstance we found ourselves in.
Yeah. Really quickly before we do get to promotion commotion, I did want to at least mention Roschon Johnson. So Deontay Foreman was the lead back in this game, 21 carries for 80 yards. We did see Roschon. He has returned from the concussion, 5 carries for 18 yards. Did have 4 catches for 14 in this one. Any thoughts on Roschon?
Don't love the fact that I don't know. I feel like we kept seeing these almost sparks, like, been kind of involved as a route runner. Like there's been a lot, I think, to be encouraged about, but there's also not at the same exact time. And I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit discouraged, probably to say the least, just knowing that he's playing behind Deontay Foreman. I think that the talent level is there. Obviously, Deontay Foreman, they have a lot more trust in Deontay Foreman at this point in the season. And I think things are only going to get a lot more complicated when they add Khalil Herbert back into the mix. I know didn't make his season debut here, but it doesn't seem very far off. So I think maybe this is going to present a buy low window for Roschon Johnson, because I firmly believe in the talent. It's just a question of when do circumstances open up for this team to really get him some run. And that's kind of where I'm at. Like D'Onta Foreman, I think he's been everything that you could possibly want from him. He is going to be a free agent next year. So that's all I want to throw out there with Roschon Johnson is the talent is there. And D'Onta Foreman, I can't imagine them bringing him back again. Like,
no, probably not. Probably
like
not.
I just want to give that word of encouragement that
yeah.
I think this might be a good buy low opportunity.
All right, let's get to promotion commotion, our favorite segment of the week. Some players that we want to promote from our bench into our starting lineups in week 10. We will get to that next. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. This time of year can be a lot, and it's natural to feel some kind of sadness or anxiety about it. I know that once the new year hits, I always get a little blue. It's some of that seasonal blue. I mean, a lot of it's just because of where I live and because of the weather. But adding something new and positive to your life can counteract some of those feelings. Therapy can be a bright spot amid all of the stress and all of the change, something to look forward to and something to help you feel grounded, to make you feel grounded, to give you the tools to manage everything going on. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's done entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch your therapist at any time for any reason at no additional charge. It's absolutely fantastic. Find your bright spot this season with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. All right. It's our favorite segment of the week. It's promotion commotion. Players that we are promoting from our bench, sometimes even the waiver wire, into the starting lineup. And Kate, I'm gonna let you go, but I gotta tell you a quick little story. As we were doing this podcast, I actually grabbed somebody from my waiver wire, put him into my starting lineup. Would you like me to tell you who it is?
Yes.
Trenton Irwin for the Cincinnati Bengals. So no T. Higgins this week, who got hurt with a hamstring injury. Jamar Chase is very, very questionable to play. Anytime Trenton Irwin has played, he's been pretty good. In the game against Arizona earlier this year, 8 catches for 60 yards. If you're in a PPR league, I really like him. This is a terrible week for bye weeks with so many, like the Chiefs and the Dolphins on bye, and the Eagles. I'm starting Trenton Irwin with confidence in week 10.
I kind of like that, actually. So, I think also Tyler Boyd, perfectly fine, option. But yeah, Trenton Irwin might actually be on waiver wires in plenty of your dynasty leagues.
He
cool
was.
With that.
He literally was.
He literally was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't mind that play. Obviously, this is like a tough defense, but when you're absent, a lot of top end receivers due to the bipocalypse, sometimes we got to get creative here and, at least get creative with one of the best quarterbacks and, the players catching the ball, from that said quarterback. I like it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to talk about a guy that we just talked about a little bit yesterday, Will Levis. Come on down. Welcome to my starting fantasy football lineup. This is, he's coming off a down week against the Steelers, but it's a prime spot for a bounce back effort. Since the Buccaneers week 5 bye, the secondary has absolutely struggled. Absolutely struggled. They have a lot of league high, almost 1,400 passing yards, almost a 20% explosive pass rate. Tampa Bay's defense allowing a 9-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, 5.6% passing touchdown rate. Like, this is a perfect matchup. And Will Levis, I think, is going to ball, he was just named the starting quarterback. Maybe he's vibing. And now his matchup can reflect the vibes.
I like it. I got one more for me just because I love this player. I think Wan'Dale Robinson is going to have a really big day for the Giants with Tommy DeVito at quarterback. No Darren Waller this week. The one spot on the Cowboys defense that you can get them a little bit, a slot corner. Jordan Lewis really struggling. I just won't be surprised if Wan'Dale gets like 11 targets and all of them are at the line of scrimmage. And it's probably not going to be for a big yardage total, but if you're in
PPR, baby.
Yeah, I mean, could you see him getting 7 for 60 in this game? And it's maybe he gets a cheap touchdown and all of a sudden that's like 19 PPR points. Sure, he's the one guy in the passing offense for the Giants I am at least a little bit excited about.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I'm going to give you one more just to close out the show in pure disgusting style. What if you pair your quarterback Will Levis with wide receiver Kyle Phillips, who we saw get a little bit more involved last week? The Buccaneers, as I mentioned, a great matchup. The wide receiver position has been averaging just under 250 yards per game to the up against the Bucs. 91% of Kyle Phillips's targets have come out of the slot, and Bucs rookie cornerback Christian Ezien has allowed the 7th most yards in slot coverage this point this season. So I think maybe.
Yes.
YOLO.
The Bucs also have some injuries at cornerback this week, which is a little concerning. I would not be surprised at all if Will Levis has a big game. We just saw CJ Stroud light up this Tampa Bay secondary. They're even more banged up now. I like that call. I like it going in on the Titans offense. This is a lot of fun. All right. That is it for today's show. We want to thank you for making Locked On Dynasty your first listen every single day. We are free and available on all platforms every dayers. We'll be back on Monday to break down all of the action from week 10. Should be a really fun week. We got some really good games in the Sunday afternoon window. So again, back here on Monday. Check out the show on YouTube. Follow Kate on Twitter at Kate Majuk. I'm at Marcus_Mosher. Enjoy the games. See you right back here on Monday.